Hello, everybody. Dr. Jackson here, Trauma Recovery Institute. Video number one, talking about the principles of resolution, recovery from trauma. The first thing when you're trying to get yourself to a better place after you've recognized the trauma. So the first step is to recognize trauma. Always go back and watch video one. Recognize the trauma. There's a lot of stuff that people are doing. They don't realize that came from trauma. They think that's just the way I am. I'm just being myself. No, you've been woven into these type of emotional patterns as a child and a lot of times as an adult. Most traumas do start developing in early childhood and late childhood as well. It can have a very serious impact on your life. But principle number one of recovering from trauma is understanding that you have to identify what a healthy human looks like. So the first thing that I like to see, which really helps us out, is to recognize that you need healthy human interaction and validation. So that requires you to evaluate your social relationships, family, friends, school. Is this dynamic that I have with you, is this a healthy human interaction? We cuss each other out. We call each other names. We can't be around each other unless we're using drugs or drinking or getting high. We're vape partners. And I'm putting these things in categories. Okay. And here's my deal about everything when I start talking about vaping and usage of alcohol and these things. You got to know what you use your substances for. I'm not about to give you an assessment of your substance. And like some kids say, well, it's okay. And you grow it. It's from plant. I'm not having that discussion with any of y'all to get y'all emotional so y'all could miss the lesson. You figure out, even when it comes to drinking, it is what it is, right? When are you drinking? Who are you drinking with? Just evaluate that stuff. Pay attention to it. That's what I'm saying. Pay attention to your human interaction with your friends, with your families. Is this a healthy interaction? Are we not around each other if we're not smoking? Are we not around each other if we're not talking bad about other people? Healthy human interaction. That's our job to identify. That's your job to identify. Looking at your circle, looking at your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, interacting with your children, interacting at work, interacting at your church. Pay attention to the human interaction. It's number one. It really starts telling you, man, like a lot of our relationships is keeping our trauma going. Two, you have to learn how to live with your trauma. So when I can identify it, so if you take something like this, trauma, you're not going to change it. It happened already. You lose somebody, they are gone. I have to live with this. This is a part of my life. So I have to manage how I feel. I have to manage some things that happened to me as a child because I cannot change them. That is the key. I have to live with this. So how do I live with it? Put it in the rear view. When do I put it in the rear view? How am I going to keep it in the rear view? Understanding that I got to live with this. I don't have to live like that. I have to live with what has occurred because I can't fix it, but I can live with it. I can't fix it. So I'm not running around here trying to get approval of people and repair the person I was and all the damage I did. That's not how that works. That's just foolish. People do it all the time. That's trauma, folks. Three, know how you feel. Know how you feel. You have to know how you feel. So a lot of people are in denial about how they feel and they say things like, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. You're not. And you're just basically trauma learned how to suppress, to pack feelings in. And I have to be able to acknowledge how I feel. I have to know how I feel. I can't be fake with my feelings to me. And knowing how you feel is not about expressing how you feel to people. You got to be able to know how you feel to yourself. A lot of people don't understand emotions. So they build up, and then they blow it on a person that didn't even do it. That's trauma. Trauma has developed you into that habit, and it is avoidable. It is something you can fix with awareness. This is trauma recovery 101. And then 4, Never, ever suppress your feelings. Never, ever. I have feelings about things. I'm not about to talk myself out of my feelings. Remember, it's a feeling. You can talk yourself out of a thought. But when it comes to feelings, feelings have to be managed. So when you get a rage feeling, you better manage that because you're angry about something. Something made you angry. And you're not about to talk it. I mean, you gotta, why am I angry? So I can deal with the anger, right? I want to be able to deal with the anger, not brush the anger off and pack it down in there and just keep right on going. And then somebody triggered me and I let it all out on them. Happens every single day. That's not what you want to do. See, there's a difference between thoughts and feelings. Your feelings are yours. Nobody can disagree with your feelings. When you feel a certain type of way about anything, you have to identify it, not pack it, which takes me to 5, which is not on your screen, but 5 is express the feeling about the trauma. See, like that anger, that hurt, that stuff has to be expressed. Now, what are the ways I'm saying to do it? I'm saying it's more healthier over time to be able to use writing, writing material, being able to write things down, to be able to identify them and organize the thoughts, using your journal to be able to identify it and flush it out of your system. One thing that is a healing processor is the pen, is the intermuscular activity of moving emotions and feelings around. This is why so many people write books to be healed and to be free and things like that. That's a part of healing and recovery is writing. And that this is something that people should do. I'm not even giving you a suggestion. I'm saying you got to do it. When you've got the traumas, you got to be able to process it. One thing that I say often is people who have issues with parents. One of the things I wrote in one of my books was, hey, just write those things down. Write those things in a letter. Sometimes you share the letter, sometimes you don't. Okay, well, Dr. Jackson, my daddy's dead. Write the letter still. Go to the gravesite. Say what you got to say. I've been a proponent of that my entire career. I understand what closure does. Closure, just because people are dead and gone, I'm still pent up. See, that's the suppression that I am advising you do not do. I got to identify how I feel. Some parts is talking it out. I like writing, and sometimes even when you say, hey, I want to tell a person, it's not going to work out the way you think because the person will get mad at you and make you look crazy. So a lot of times people say, I want to talk to my parents and kind of share. 98% of the time, the parent that you're sharing with that did something is going to flip it back on you and it's going to go left and you're going to go worse. It'll be a worse trauma. So I always say, don't do that. It's probably 2% of parents you can go talk to about how you feel. The rest will always blame the kid. That's just the way. And what does that mean? Why would they blame the kid? It's the trauma of what they missed out on, of what they knew didn't go right. They can't deal with it. It is embarrassing. So they flip it 100% of the time. And I could say as a parent, apologizing, just like my bad about certain things with kids. I missed certain things and I said it and just kind of move on. It takes a lot of maturity to be a parent. And it's really hurtful to hear your kid say that you hurt them and hurt them bad. It hurts. And that's why parents get so defensive. And defense is a sign of trauma, fear. And you are going to decide how far you go in life. You're not deciding how far I go in life. This is why I'm not using comments to hear what people say. I don't care. This is about if you want the help, go ahead and get the help. Take your notes. Do what the man is asking you to do. It's a free video, right? So to identify those feelings, express those feelings. Use writing. I like writing to list them, and then you can talk them out. But I like writing. The key is I'm asking you when dealing with trauma, you have to write it. I want them written down. That's just how I believe that'll help you to get it out of your head. Everybody needs to have a journal. Everybody needs to have a journal. Everybody needs to have a journal. Everybody needs to use their pen to get better, get healthy. That is a way to flush toxins out of your head and out of your spirit and be able to talk and go over that list and flush it out. Nobody gets to tell you how you feel. Nobody gets to give you their assessment of how you're feeling about your trauma. And that's the danger, because typically the person you're going to talk to is not going to be able to help you with it. Right. And they probably were the ones that did it. You know what I'm saying? And you are who you listen to. Your advice is everything. So I hope these some basic things help you along your journey. We will be using these videos to highlight certain traumas and techniques and steps you can take to process those specific traumas out of your life. I will see you in our next video. Be well.